Do you have any tales from the Stan Lee rejection bin? Are there some characters that you were excited about that you could just never just make work, or that you really wanted to work?
Now this will sound terrible, but every one of them worked. You see, I never had a rejection, but it's not as good as it sounds. I'll explain. I was the editor-in-chief. I was in charge creatively. I'm also my biggest fan. So if ever I would come up with an idea, I'd say, gee, that's great. And I'd say, let's do it, because I was the guy who said, let's do it. So everything that I did, I thought was terrific. And so I got no rejections, because I would have been the rejector, and I'm not going to reject my own stuff.
Right.
I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm trying to be, and you can tell, I'm trying to be as honest and forthright with you people as possible, and I hope it's appreciated.
So what is it? I think they appreciate it.
Great Ferguson.
Oh, snap. It's on, Scotsman. So how do you feel that comic, because obviously, we're such a visually interactive society now with, and now everyone's 3D and 3D TV and 3D movies. But how do you feel that comic books tell a story in a way that maybe, a movie or a television show can't?
Well, every form of the media tells a story in ways that others can't. I mean, a movie tells a story in a way that a television show can't. The television show tells a story in the way that a magazine can't, or a newspaper. They're all different. A comic book is really like when you do storyboards for a movie. The good thing about comics now, people in Hollywood really don't have the time, and most of them don't have the interest to read a full script. So if somebody wants to sell a script to a movie company, a distributor, producer, there's very little chance the guy is going to read it, but it's so easy for anybody to look at a comic book. You can thumb through it in a couple of minutes and say, hey, wow, these pictures are great. Oh, that scene would look terrific on the screen. There's a lot of action. Yeah, I want to do this movie.
You're talking about studio heads. We're going back to the illiterate adults from before.
Just about. That's a very good way to put it. Yeah.
I can't think of a concept with words alone. I have a lot of friends who tried to sell scripts and they couldn't, and so they said, well, I'll just make it into a comic book, and then they ended up selling
It's just the way it happens. Yeah. I wish I had stayed in comics. What an idiot I am. Show you how smart I am. When comics are bigger than ever, I'm not doing it. Oh, I am doing some, come to think of it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you have POW Entertainment.
POW is working with a company called Boom. We're doing some comics. And of all companies, the Archie company, we're doing a new kind of superhero for the Archie books. And we just did a comic book that's doing very well in Japan called Ultimo. And it'll come over here as a movie or a TV series soon. And we're doing a cartoon in Japan, an animated cartoon called Hero Man, which will probably come over here sooner or later. And we're very big in Japan. The Chinese are jealous, but I'll make time for them later. I forgot what the question was. Now, I got to tell you, please. I've done in conversation with a lot of people. You're really good.
What?
No, you really are.
Are you kidding?
This guy is good.
Are you? Come on.
All right, that's all.
All right.
I was only.
So now, what's the process for you when you're creating stuff? I mean, is it literally just you go make that? Do you sit down to write, or like what's your process?
Well, luckily, I'm still my biggest fan, so I like everything I do. But I don't have time to actually do the finished writing.
Right.
So what I do is I try to come up with an idea that would make a good movie, television show, whatever. And then we try to get the best screenwriter or comic book writer or whatever to do it, and I sort of supervise it, or I'm the executive producer or whatever that might. Actually, I'm also very lucky. I have a partner, a fellow I work with named Gil Champion, who had been a really terrific producer years ago, and now he's part of the management team of POW Entertainment. And this guy really knows movies and television, and he's been, see, I'll come up with an idea. I say, hey, I think it would be great we have Spider-Man, maybe we'll have Mosquito Man. And he'll say, oh, Mosquito Man sounds great, we'll do it as a TV series. I might have thought it would be a movie. Gil thinks it should be a TV series, and he knows better. So I just come up with an idea, and then Gil says where we should direct it. So that makes it easy for me, because otherwise I would flounder, because there are so many places. You know, if you have an idea for something today, well, should you do it as a comic strip? Should you do it over the internet? Should you do it as a, oh, you know, we're doing something called Time Jumper for Disney, and it's called a motion comic. It's a cross between a comic book and an animated
Oh, yeah, I've seen those on iTunes.
So you say to yourself, should I do it as a motion comic? Should it be a television show, a movie? But I'm lucky enough to have Gil at my side, and he says, make it a motion comic, so I don't have to think, you see, and that makes it easy.
I agree. I think Mosquito Man should be a motion comic.
Hey, I said it first.
You did say it.
Oh, I shouldn't have blurted that out.
now
Everybody's going to be rushing to write a Mosquito Man.
Don't tell anyone. How do you, so how do you come up with Spider-Man? How do you say, let's combine man and spider? Like, how does that?
First of all, you have to start by being incredibly brilliant.
Yes.
No, what happened was, I have told this story so often that for all I know it might even be true. But I was trying to think of a new hero, and I had done everything. We had the Thing, who was the strongest guy around. We had the Human Torch, who could burst into flame and fly. We had the Hulk. I was thinking, what can I do that's different? And it occurred to me, while I was sitting at my desk, I saw a fly crawling on the wall. Now, I don't want you to think my house is filled with flies. One little fly. And I said, gee, wouldn't it be something? I said to myself, I don't know that I said it out loud. I may have just thought it.
I like to think of you sitting going, wouldn't it be funny if?
I was almost going to say I thought to myself, but my wife always catches me and says, you can't say I thought to myself. Who else would you think to? And she's like, so it has to be I thought. If you ever hear anybody say I thought to yourself, say Stan's wife says you shouldn't say that.
Can I just tell you, this is just as a sidetrack, you just remind me that my dad leaves himself messages on the phone to remember to do things, but he identifies himself to himself. So when you listen to this answering machine, you hear, this is me calling me to remind me to leave out the trash. Like, who do you think is leaving you these messages to do these chores?
Your dad is a great man. So anyway, what happened? Oh yes, so I saw this fly, and I said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if, no, I'm lying. In those days, there wasn't an expression cool. I said, probably, wouldn't it be groovy? Wouldn't it be groovy if a superhero could stick to the wall like a fly, you know? So I said, that's a good idea, but Flyman didn't do it for me as a name. So I went down the list, Mosquito Man, whatever insect I could think of, and then I got to Spider-Man. Now I want you to think, Spider-Man. I mean, that sounds dramatic. You know, it had to work. So I said, I'll call him Spider. I'm very good at names also. I said, I'll call him Spider-Man. And lo, a legend was born.
And
Kind of gets you here.
it does. We'll take it a moment. Now, when you finally, when they started making the movies in the early 2000s, it's already weird to say that, but in the early 2000s, when they made the first, the new Spider-Man movies, did you watch it and go, yes, this is exactly, because before that, film technology wasn't in such a place where it could look the way that it did. So did you feel like it really would have taken that long to make that film?
Well, my first thought was, yeah, this is going to make me famous. But after that, No, I thought it was a great job. Sam Raimi really kept it true to the spirit of Spider-Man, and he only made one blundering mistake, but I forgive him for it. I understand how it was. He didn't make me play the part of J. Jonah Jameson, the irascible newspaper editor, and I was born to play that role.